Hello, and welcome to another video. Today I've got a commander deck to share with you. It is a Jund commander deck led by Kresh the Bloodbraided. The goal of this deck is to win by dealing a ton of damage to our opponents, and to that end, there are a lot of punishing effects in here. We can get more into that as we are going through the individual cards together. For now, let's take a closer look at our commander so you know what we are working with. We've got Kresh the Bloodbraided. He is 2 black, red, green for a 3/3 legendary human warrior with a triggered ability that says, whenever another creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may put X +1/+1 counters on Kresh, where X is that creature's power. So obviously Kresh really wants other creatures to go into the graveyard, and the higher the power of the creature, the better, so that he can swing in for large amounts of commander damage all at once. He doesn't really care if they are your creatures or opponent creatures, though preferably they would be opponent creatures. And we have plenty of ways in here to make sure that happens. So let me start taking you through the deck card by card. As usual, I have the deck organized by card type right now. So first we will look at the remaining creatures in the deck, starting with some utility creatures. Sakura Tribuilder is 1 and a green for a 1/1 snake shaman that you can sacrifice to search your library for a basic land card, put it into play tapped, then shuffle. Yavimaya Elder is 1 green for a 2/1 druid. When it is put into a graveyard from play, you can search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. And you can pay 2 and sacrifice him to draw a card. Eternal Witness is 1 green for a 2/1 human shaman. When Eternal Witness enters the battlefield, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Oracle of Moldiah, 3 green for a 2/2 elf shaman. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Play with the top card of your library revealed. And you may play the top card of your library if it's a land card. Technically, it is a drawback to have the top card of your library revealed, but for this deck, I don't really think it matters that much. There are so many pieces of removal in it that you're just letting the table witness the inevitability that is coming, but I don't really think it is too much of a drawback here. Reclamation Sage is 2 and a green for a 2/1 Elf Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Ravenous Chupacabra is 2 black for a 2/2 Beast Horror. When Ravenous Chupacabra enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. Runescarred Demon is 5 black for a 6/6 demon with flying. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. This card is one of the few gifts that we bring to the table, though in this deck, gifts are not without strings attached. It is Zerta Ancient, which is 3 red-green for a 7/5 beast. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana to their mana pool of any type that land produced. So we would love for our opponents to use this mana to cast more creatures so that we can destroy them and feed them to Kresh. And moving on to some creatures that are here to serve Kresh, we've got Gruul Rage Beast, which is 5 red-green for a 6/6 beast. Whenever Gruul Rage Beast or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature fights target creature an opponent controls. This one you do want to be a little careful with because it is not a May ability. So if your creature ends up dying, it's not a big deal as long as Kresh is out, but if you are casting Kresh, for instance, then that could be a bit disastrous. Rurikthar the Unbowed is 4 red-green for a 6/6 legendary ogre warrior with vigilance and reach. Rurikthar attacks each turn if able, and whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Rurikthar deals 6 damage to that player. Another one that I would advise being a bit careful with, because this applies to all players, including yourself, but hopefully will hurt your opponents worse than you. Terastodon is 6 green for a 9/9 elephant. When Terastodon enters the battlefield, you may destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents. For each permanent put into a graveyard this way, its controller puts a 3/3 green elephant creature token onto the battlefield. So this creature is not only a good way of getting rid of things like your opponent's soul ring or any problematic enchantments or lands, but it also converts them into food for Kresh, which is really nice. Disciple of Bolus is 3 and a black for a 2/1 human wizard. When Disciple of Bolus enters the battlefield, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. Zealous Conscripts is 4 and a red for a 3/3 human warrior with haste. When Zealous Conscripts enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent until end of turn. Untap it and it gains haste until end of turn. Inferno Titan is 4 red for a 6/6 giant. You can pay red to give it +1/+0 until end of turn. And whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures and or players. And his friend Grave Titan is 4 black for a 6/6 giant with Death Touch. Whenever Grave Titan enters or attacks, put 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. Wormcoil Engine is 6 for a 6/6 worm with Death Touch and lifelink. When it dies, you get 2 3/3 colorless worm artifact creature tokens, one of which has Death Touch and the other lifelink. Butcher of Malakir is 5 black for a 5/4 vampire warrior with flying. Whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Harvester of Souls is 4 black for a 5/5 demon with Death Touch. Whenever another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. Galissa the Traitor is black for a 3/3 zombie elf with First Strike and Death Touch. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. If nothing else, this is a great way to recycle your Wormcoil Engine if you need it. I always feel bad playing this one, but Obnixilis Unshackled is 4 black for a 4/4 legendary demon with flying and trample. Whenever an opponent searches their library, that player sacrifices a creature and loses 10 life. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Obnixilis. Obosh the Prey Piercer is 3 and 2 hybrid black-red for a 3/5 legendary Hellion Horror we are ignoring the companion piece. But if a source you control with an odd converted mana cost would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. Sheldred the Whispering One is 5 black for a 6/6 legendary praetor with Swamp Walk. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. So, really good for fueling Kresh, and makes it very difficult for your opponents to gain a foothold if they need creatures, unless they deal with this first. Archfiend of Depravity is 3 black for a 5/4 demon with flying. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 target creatures they control, then sacrifices the rest. And that is our final creature in the deck. Next up, we are on to instants and sorceries. So to get started on our instants and sorceries, we will take a bit of a break from destroying our opponent's creatures or forcing them to sacrifice. We will of course get back to that, but to start, let's calm it down a bit with some ramp. First up, we've got Sylvan Scrying. It is 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Cultivate is 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle. Kodama's Reach is an arcane sorcery that does the same thing. Explosive Vegetation is 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Reap and Sow is 3 and a green for a sorcery, with Entwine for 1 and a green. You can destroy target land, or search your library for a land card, put that card into play, then shuffle. We get a little bit of both effects here with Death Sprout. It is 1 black green for an instant. Destroy target creature. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Doomblade is 1 and a black for an instant. Destroy target non-black creature. Go for the Throat is 1 and a black for an instant. Destroy target non-artifact creature. This is Terminate. It is black-red for an instant. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Putrefy is 1 black-green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. Dreadbore is black-red for a sorcery. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Frozen Grip. 2 green for an instant with split second. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Beast Within is 2 and a green for an instant. Destroy target permanent. Its controller puts a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. In Garrick's Wake is 7 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. So this one is very expensive, but I do think it is worth it. Like, this alone could put enough counters on Kresh to one-shot an opponent with commander damage. Diabolic Edict is 1 and a black for an instant. Target player sacrifices a creature. Innocent Blood is black for a sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature. For 1 black, this card is actually amazing. The drawback being that you have to sacrifice your own creature, but Kresh loves that as long as he isn't your only creature. Killing Wave is X and a black for a sorcery. For each creature, its controller sacrifices it unless they pay X life. So very unfortunate for token decks. And as long as you can afford Kresh, he really doesn't care if any of your other creatures survive. And your opponents really have to decide how much they value their creatures and whether they want to keep them around. Depending on how late in the game it is, you might even be able to set X high enough that an opponent can't pay it and has to let all of their creatures go, in which case they are probably dying anyway. Torment of Hailfire is X black for a sorcery. Repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. So this kind of forces your opponents to drain their resources, which potentially includes their life total. Grab the Reins is 3 and a red for an instant, with Entwine for 2 and a red. Until end of turn, you gain control of target creature and it gains haste. Or sacrifice a creature, then grab the Reins deals damage equal to that creature's power to target creature or player. Ideally, you're just paying the 7 mana to do both. Chandra's Ignition is 3 red for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. So similar to when we saw this in the Calamax deck, we want Kresh to be very, very large at this point, so that casting this means we win the game. Chain Reaction is 2 red for a sorcery. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. This is a really fun one, but of course you want to make sure that Kresh is big enough to survive before you cast it. This one is Comet Storm. It is X red for an instant, with multi-kicker for 1 mana. Choose any target, then choose another target for each time this spell was kicked. Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. So depending on how much mana you have available, this is usually another game-ending card where you just target each of your opponents and burn them out of the game. Rise from the Grave is 4 and a black for a sorcery. Put target creature card in a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Pretty handy for reaching into any graveyard. Doesn't have to be your own, but it can. Tooth and Nail is 5 green for a sorcery, with Entwine for 2. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle, or put up to 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So pretty self-explanatory, but maybe just of note that if you do entwine this spell, you can put any 2 creatures from your hand onto the battlefield. Doesn't have to be the 2 that you tutored for, but it can be. Demonic Tutor is 1 and a black for a sorcery. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Diabolic Tutor is the same thing, but for the cost of 2 black. And that is all for the instants and sorceries. Coming up next, we have Planeswalkers. All right, we've got 2 Planeswalkers in the deck. This one I usually treat like another tutor spell though, but it is Liliana Vess. 3 black for a 5 loyalty, Planeswalker Liliana. +1, target player discards a card. -2, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. And her ultimate is -8, put all creature cards in all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. And the other Planeswalker is Garruk, Apex Predator. It is 5 black-green for a 5 loyalty, Planeswalker Garruk. +1, destroy another target Planeswalker. +1, put a 3/3 black beast creature token with Death Touch onto the battlefield. -3, destroy target creature. You gain life equal to its toughness. And the ultimate is -8. Target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a creature attacks you, it gets +5/+5 and gains trample until end of turn. So of course very good if you can do this and a creature dies with +5/+5. Otherwise the -3 is a good way to not only destroy a creature, but also recoup some life if you need to. Moving on to enchantments, we've got another gift for the table. Mana Flare is 2 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, they add 1 mana of any type that land produced. Sylvan Library is 1 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your draw step, you can draw 2 additional cards. You can either keep them in your hand for 4 life each, or put them back on the top of your library. Phyrexian Arena is 1 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life. Fervor is 2 and a red for an enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. Fires of Yavimaya is 1 red-green for an enchantment. Creatures you control have haste, and you can sacrifice Fires of Yavimaya to give a creature +2/+2 until end of turn. Haunted Crossroads is 2 and a black for an enchantment. Pay a black, put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Warstorm Surge is 5 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Dictate of Erebos is 3 black for an enchantment with flash. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. And that is our final enchantment. Up next, we've got artifacts. There are just a few artifacts in this deck right now. Starting out, of course, with Swiftfoot Boots. It is 2 for an equipment. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equip 1. Mage Slayer. 1 red-green for an equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to defending player. Equip 3. And a quote from Kresh down here at the bottom. A very good equipment to hand Kresh, especially when he is very large. Argentum Armor is 6 for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +6/+6. Whenever equipped creature attacks, destroy target permanent. Equip 6. So this one is quite expensive, but also a very powerful piece of equipment. Darksteel Ingot is 3 for an indestructible artifact that you can tap to add 1 mana of any color. This is Birthing Pod. It is 3 and a Phyrexian green for an artifact with a sorcery speed activated ability that says pay 1, a Phyrexian green, tap, and sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1+ the sacrificed creature's mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So, whether or not you can continue the chain, this is at least a good sack outlet for getting more counters onto Kresh. And with that, we are done with the artifacts. Our next and final card type is land. Finally, let's close out with the land. We've got Command Tower, which taps to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Savage Lands enters the battlefield tapped and taps for black, red, or green. Graven Cairns can tap for a colorless, or you can pay either black or red and tap to add any combination of black and red. Overgrown Tomb is our Swamp Forest Shockland. Woodland Cemetery is our black-green checkland. Temple of Malady is our black-green temple, so it enters tapped and you scry 1. Wooded Foothills, I think, is the only fetch land in here. Taiga is the Mountain Forest dual land. Stomping Ground is the Mountain Forest Shockland. Rootbound Crag, the red-green buddy land. Temple of Abandon is the red-green temple. Bojuka Bog enters tapped. When it enters, you exile target player's graveyard, and it taps for black. Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, is a legendary land that makes every land a forest in addition to its other types. And we've got some utility lands, like Kessig Wolf Run, which taps to add a colorless, or you can pay X red-green tap. Target creature gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Skarg the Rage Pits taps to add a colorless, or you can pay red-green tap. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. Reliquary Tower gives you no maximum hand size and taps for a colorless. Rogue's Passage taps to add colorless, or you can pay 4 and tap to make target creature unblockable until end of turn. Strip Mine can tap to add colorless, or you can tap and sacrifice it to destroy target land. Very rude. And everything else in here is just a basic land, so we can flip through those really quick. There we have it. Thank you so much for joining me today for a look around this Kresh Commander deck. I really enjoyed showing it to you, and I hope you found it relaxing despite all of the death and destruction. But anyway, I really appreciate you sticking with me throughout the entire video. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, whether you've played a Kresh deck or if you've played against one. Maybe you're thinking about building one yourself. Let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, I would absolutely love it if you would give it a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll be back with new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. Your support truly means the world to me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.